Hello everyone, this is Cynthia Miller, and today we're going to paint this beautiful full moon and autumn tree with just a few deep red leaves falling. I'm using something very handy here to make the size of the moon. I want to make sure the moon looks big on the paper because it is quite big this time of year. And I'm deciding how big I want the tree to be, and just just sort of sketching that in. And I don't often include the sketching in my videos, but yeah, this one I just thought I would help you to sort of see how easy it is to keep your pencil light. Imagine where those branches are coming from, where you want to place them on the paper. And we'll get started with some color. Now, first of all, we're going to point out some stars with a masking fluid. I'm taking a brush and putting it into my soap first. It's a sort of an adhesive sort of a liquid, and it's not very good for the brush to put that into it, but you need some sort of tool to put it onto your paper. So I suppose I could use my little dab tool. Maybe next time I'll try that. But basically what we want to do is place on the stars with the masking fluid, and it will prevent the paper from taking in the dark blue night sky paint onto the paper. It will keep those spots white. It will create a bubble of sort of plastic adhesive like sticky material, and when it dries, then we can put the dark sky color over top of it, and then once the sky dries, then we rub those little dots off and the dots stay white. Okay, so that's exactly what it is and what it does. Now, if you don't have this masking fluid, just skip this step of putting out these stars. We will put the stars on top of the night sky, and it's perfectly fine that you don't have this masking fluid. It's just another tool that we use. So you can see the dots where I've placed the adhesive, and they're drying, and I'm going to move on to creating the moon. And what I'm doing is putting some water on this nice big circle on my paper. Make sure it's nice and big. And I'm going over it and over it with water because I want to make sure that the paper absorbs that water, and I don't want it to sit on top of the water. I want it to absorb it so that when I put the pigment in there, it's going to work and flow the best that it should. And as you can see, I'm using a Payne's Gray here and just my small brush to now create a moon. And most of the pictures that I look at of the moon online, and when I look at it in person, it seems to be the same. There's different areas that are light, different areas that look shadowed, so it's just a matter of bringing that all into balance. As you can see, for me, it's just many layers of putting on the water, putting on the pigment, moving it around, lifting it up, moving it around, and just finding that look that you're happy with. It's like painting clouds in the sky. You have to feel good about what they look like before you can move on. So take as long as you need to make this moon how you see the moon. So we're going to start looking at some color, if you call it gray color, and we're just going to put a nice light layer on the tree and then start building it. It's going to be many layers of darkness and shadows and branches and little twigs and little imperfections. Try not to make your tree too perfect. Just let the colors, the paint and the pigment, there's not much color to it, and see how those sideward strokes help to give it the look that it's round. Just filling in the branches and make the tops of the branches closest to the moon the lightest shade. Outline the big branches, but keep the darker shadows on the underside away from the moon. And having said that, I start to put dark on the side of the moon, the tree that's facing the moon, but it's underneath the branches mostly, that is the darker bits. So you can still put dark on the right-hand side of the tree and also have shadows on the left. It's usually under the branches where you're going to see the darkest areas. And just keeping with those small circular brush strokes. You just work your way up and again, be intuitive. Let the water and the pigment do its own thing. If you have a paint that is high granulation, it's lots of fun. I don't think this one is, but if I put some of my indigo or my other green with it, it would have some granulation to it. The sky color is, and what happens is the pigments are bigger pieces in your paint, so they get kind of they dry a little differently on the texture of my paper. It creates a little bit more of a design that you don't even have to really do anything. The paint does itself. So I've got a nice base coat on the tree, and I can always come back and touch it up if I like. I'm going to use a nice big brush. It's straight. It's about 2 inches, I think just under 2 inches. And I'm just showing you how I'm going to take it amongst the branches with my sky color. And I'm going to use an indigo blue, so it's going to be a nice complement to this gray. And then I'm going to take this brush and I'm going to swoop up the sky color so that there's illumination around the moon. So I've put on the water, and now I'm using one of my brushes to put on this indigo blue night sky color. And it looks very elementary the way I put it on, but basically you just want to get the pigment on there and then let it flow and blend with the water that you put on. So don't be too concerned about how it's blending. It looks very crude the way I do it, but you just want to get some pigment on there. This is a very dark pigment. As long as you've got lots of water, you can do anything with it. So it's as long as it's not going to dry the way that you see it, what you're going to do is take your clean brush then and wipe away the sky color around the moon so that there's an illumination. And you're going to just sort of play with this, let the darker paint flow back in and the water layer to just create that sort of fuzz around the moon. And sometimes it looks a little bit too handmade. You just have to play with it. And what I'm doing is holding it up so that the paint will run down where I want it to go. And unfortunately you can't really see a whole lot, but you can sort of see that there is an illumination happening there. So I've played with it, and I've painted the sky in between the branches, and I'm just sort of bringing out the branches a little bit more now by going in and doing a darker layer. It tends to have a little bit of confusion there in the center, so I'm just outlining the branches a little bit more. It brings the tree closer to me. It puts the moon behind the tree, and it sort of defines the area a little more. And so you just sort of have to play with that and make sure that it looks consistent from outside where the branches are to in between where the branches are, the different areas of the trees. I move it around like this a little bit too. Maybe work on the tree from the side, and just see how that shapes it. So I'm ready to paint the leaves, and the burgundy color that I used in the first artwork was already made up, but from the color wheel I can see that if you mix black with red, then you will get a beautiful dark red. Now, an idea that you could do is put a really vibrant yellow on the leaf first, and then put the burgundy color over top, so that when you highlight the leaf you can see the, I would use like an ochre yellow, sort of a golden yellow. Just give those leaves a couple of different colors instead of the one red. But I do love this color, so it goes well with the gray as well. So I'm just putting on one layer, and then I will let that dry and put on another layer, and it does really take that pigment well. And that's pretty much it for the painting. We just have to take the adhesive off the stars. Before I do that though, I'm sort of evening out the sky between the branches. I'm not really happy with it, so I need to fix it before I can move on. And basically I'm just putting in a little bit of that indigo, a little bit of the gray, a little bit of water, just bringing the shade of it to the same as the rest of the sky. So I'm now putting another coat of this beautiful burgundy onto the leaves. I wanted to make sure the sky and branches were all as I wanted them, and you know, just sort of going back between the moon and the sky and the branches. And once you get these leaves on there, it's the thing that's closest to you, so you don't really want to put any more layers on it. But I do want to say, just leave part of it highlighted, like the top upper part of the leaf. You can pull it up if you want, pull up the paint from the leaf. But this is how I use the tool for the masking fluid. It's like an eraser, but it's very, very sticky. The adhesive sticks to the eraser, and you can see the stars start to appear. Now these are quite large stars, and I'm going to be putting smaller splatter on as well. So you've got the stars that look big and bright, and also the stars that are sort of in the background looking multiple and maybe not so bright. So what I'm going to do here is cover up the tree and the moon. I don't really want there to be star splatter on the leaves. And I'm going to take a small brush. I want just very tiny little bits of white, and you have to practice a little bit to get enough paint on your brush and to get the right spray. And you want to use this gouache white if you have it, and if you don't, you can use just regular watercolor white, and basically just put lots of spray on there without getting them on the trunk. I hope you've enjoyed this, our autumn lunar full moon eclipse.